God. Honestly, like that just shows how hard this whole working from at home thing is, especially in New York, right? We all have like these small little apartments. And yeah, you guys, super, super sacrifice on your side. I love it.
Yeah, we're trying to make do, and I
That's
think
it.
it adds some personality, some character to each of us. You know, you get to see a little bit of us. I think beyond the professional side of things, and it adds some depth.
Yep. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
agree. I
mean,
agree.
like Ben said, it's a little bit of necessity. It's not where I always work from, but it's a spot with good lighting, and that's what you need. And then obviously, you guys may see my new microphone here, so hooked that up, and that's mounted on the table here. So this is where I become an influencer, Pearl.
Yeah. I like to call it a fake influencer, but fine. We'll go with it. It's fine.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but look, you guys are killing it with whatever you have. So kudos to you for that. I respect that.
absolutely. So let's jump in a little bit. A little bit of an introduction about Pearl. She is the COO of First Choice Shipping. If you guys don't know First Choice Shipping, they are a awesome platform that helps sellers who sell on Amazon and other places, but mainly Amazon, looking to expand internationally. So they'll handle all of your shipping needs, whether when you're sending to an FBA or any other location. Another really cool thing that First Choice Shipping and Pearl have done over the last year or two is actually partner with the global expansion team at Amazon. So they work very closely with them to help sellers that either know of First Choice or don't take advantage of the top level of service that First Choice is providing. So Pearl, super excited to have you with us today.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. Very excited to be with you guys. The best of the best. Just like you guys are working with us for a while. We also value working with you guys, of course. And people are successful with what you do. And without your tool, it wouldn't be possible. So just to give people an understanding, again, my name is Pearl. I'm the COO of First Choice Shipping, and the reason why people need services like ourselves versus using Amazon shipping is because Amazon does not provide shipping services for international selling. So the same way right now you're selling in the US, let's say, and you're shipping into Amazon FBA, your shipments, they offer you UPS and FedEx and so on and so forth at very discounted rates. That's what we are for the international market because Amazon does not want to get involved with any of the complexities when it comes to customs and different regulations, importer of record, so on and so forth. So we'll get into detail, as we go along.
Well, that's awesome. It sounds like you really fill a large need for global Amazon sellers, and the fact that I think TJ mentioned you're partnering with Amazon too is only a testament to the success of First Choice Shipping.
Oh yeah.
So diving into that a little bit more, can you tell us and educate maybe some sellers who either aren't shipping internationally or are interested in shipping internationally, the services that First Choice Shipping provides and kind of the different avenues that they can take to get their goods, internationally, cross border to different warehouses or whatever it may be.
Right. Yeah, sure. So basically when you're shipping into Amazon, there are different rules and different restrictions that they have, right? So when I'm shipping normally internationally, there's going to be taxes, right? Like I'm going to Mexico, I want to, go on a beautiful vacation with my family. I'm going to be on the plane. I'm going to have to declare my valuables, right? I have to let them know what items I have, what the value is, and pay taxes accordingly. When I'm shipping into another country, let's say I want to sell on Amazon UK, there's also going to be something called duties and taxes that I need to pay. Typically, when shipping, the receiver is the one that pays for taxes. Being that Amazon is the one that's receiving these goods, you do want to make sure that you have a plan in place on how you're going to revert those taxes to the shipper and not to the receiver. Because again, that's one of the many reasons why Amazon is not providing shipping services. They don't want to pay taxes. So that's number one. Number two, you do want to make sure that there's an importer of record that basically, just to give an understanding to the audience of what an importer of record is, importer of record is a person that's responsible for the clearance and security of the shipment. Usually, again, somebody that's a receiver, it has to be an address in the forwarding country that's acting as that, because it's going to be customs on that side that will reach out and make sure that everything is properly declared and so on and so forth. You do want to make sure that the importer of record is also handled. The issue people have, like me and you, if I want to sell in the UK, I don't have a presence over there. I'm not a resident in the UK. I need to find somebody that could act as the importer of record. So that's one of the services that we offer. So we do act as the importer of record as well. And then, so, there's some other things as well. So returns, right? Returns is something people don't think about. What happens, right? I sell in the US now. Amazon takes care of that. They return it back to me. And no questions asked, because I'm based in the US and they provide shipping in the US, so they can return it. Same way they don't provide shipping internationally, they're not able to ship my returns back. So you do want to make sure that you're taking care of all these things before starting. And returns, for example, we do have a fulfillment center in a warehouse in the UK or anywhere that Amazon provides FBA, except for Mexico. We provide services to every FBA marketplace that Amazon is on, except for Mexico, and we'll provide a returns option as well. So we have warehouses there. You can do a removal order, send it there, and then we handle it for you.
So it's really an end-to-end solution for someone that is, let's say, based in the United States and wants to start to fulfill their goods overseas in the UK or in Japan or Australia. And it sounds like the solution here is really going to solve too, that if there's a return in Japan, it's, you might be fearful it's going to get lost. You don't know where it's going to end up, but First Choice can come in here and really help secure those goods and make sure that not only are sellers able to do this at the best market rate, but they're able to completely control their inventory and completely control that customer experience.
Exactly.
So when we talk about shipping, there's generally a couple options, and when we talk about importing from China, people are usually know the main two options are either via air or via sea, or via ocean. And is that the same situation when sending out to, say, Europe or in the UK? Do you have that air and sea option? And then, can you take us through a little bit of what the differences are, or some of the things that you want to consider when deciding between air and sea?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So it sounds as simple as air and sea. And yeah, we do offer both options, just like, like you're asking. But I just want to break it down a bit more, because in air, there's a few different type of air options, and in sea, there's a few different sea options as well. So let's talk about air for a minute. There's air carriers. So there's UPS, there's DHL, there's FedEx, which are the most popular and the best that the world has. Then there is air freight, which is us reserving space in the cargo section of a plane, which normally that's where people's suitcases go. And those are going to be for larger shipments. So let's say I want to ship 2 pallets, 3 pallets at a time, or even, how many I want, and I need it to be here really fast. I would suggest you go with the air freight option. The air freight option is usually cheaper per pound or per kilo, depending on what measurement you're going with. The only difference is that there's going to be a lot of added fees. So there's going to be a pickup fee. There's going to be a customs brokerage fee. There's going to be drayage, let's say, if you need to get it from the port. There's a Pier Pass fee. There's many different. Pier Pass is going to be for ocean. We'll talk about that in a minute. But there are many different added fees versus if I'm going with carriers like DHL or UPS, they have everything rolled into the price. But obviously the per pound price is going to end up being a little bit more expensive because, like I explained, everything's rolled in. But when it comes to smaller shipments, like we would suggest still going with carriers, let's say for up to 100 boxes. Once you reach over 100 boxes, or usually we'll go by pounds, let's say over 500 pounds, we'll then suggest you go with air freight, even though there's so many of those added fees. Like I said, the pickup fee, delivery fee, getting it to Amazon, you might get a fee just for, scheduling a delivery appointment, which happens to be just saying we don't charge for that, but most carriers will. Yeah, I had to say that, TJ. But you do want to make sure that you understand the differences. So that's for air. Now, for sea, there is LCL and there's FCL. LCL stands for less container load. Let's say I can't fill up a full container. I would be able to ship one pallet at a time. What happens is that the shipper is going to take a bunch of different people's shipments and combine it into one container. And the upside, obviously, it's much cheaper, right? It's going by sea. Obviously, if I want to travel today from New York City, where I am, to the UK to take a plane ride is going to be $600-700. If I'm going to go by boat, which obviously I'm not, but yeah. But if I go by boat, it's going to be much cheaper now, but it's going to take much longer. Now, so LCL, the downside is that because I'm shipping with so many different shippers in one container, when it does arrive, it does take some time for them to break down the container and give it over, until mine is available for pickup. Now, then there's FCL, full container load, which is a full container that I fill up myself. I have enough goods. My supplier is able to fill up the whole container. Fantastic. Upside to that, obviously, once it arrives, it's my container. My customs broker clears it. Everything is done. I can pick it up that same day, next day, whatever the arrangement is. And it's much faster. But again, you have to be able to fill it up. So some tips that we give to people is if you have several factories all in some close radius in China or wherever you're manufacturing, you could go ahead and actually combine into one full container and truck over all those shipments to one location and save yourself a lot of time and money. So yeah, so that's just the difference, a little bit, some of the differences between the ear and sea.
So just to recap, to me, there seems like there's four real factors to consider, and we have them up on screen here. So it's inventory size, price in terms of what it's going to cost, whether it's that prepackaged or kind of per stage price. Speed of delivery, air is typically faster than sea, and then damaged goods. Did we talk about the damaged goods part and how that factors into things?
Yeah, so good thing you brought that up. So what we mean by damaged goods is that some people are so into filling up a full container and they're going to stuff it up and not going to pack it the proper way. Don't do that because if you're going to damage your stuff, then cheap is expensive, as we say. So don't do that. Don't do that.
Now, Pearl, something you brought up was, where people are sourcing these products and, the country of origin. And then obviously, First Choice is helping them ship it to that warehouse or that fulfillment center, wherever that's going to go. Have you noticed any trends, whether it be with COVID or in the last few years of, manufacturing hubs changing or the origin of where customers are sourcing their goods from changing?
Yeah, so with the Trump tax going back a couple months ago, a lot of people have switched to manufacturing in the U.S. quite a bit. But in terms of people that were looking for an overseas option, it hasn't really changed much. There has been some uptick in India and a little bit in Vietnam, but China is still definitely the main place that's manufacturing most of the shipments that are coming through overseas are from China.
I guess it really depends on what you're having manufactured. Obviously, some things are better made in India, especially around the garments and textiles and stuff like that. Versus
Right.
Physical goods, plastic products, stuff like that is still really maintained in China. I've seen a couple of sellers and look into Latin America and some other places to try and diversify away from China. Not be put in the same situation that they were in, February, March of earlier this year, and then potentially backlogged into the summer. Interesting to hear that most of the sellers that you're still working with are still, sourcing from their same people. That's also good news as well, that, those companies are still around and, we're not too affected by any shutdowns or lockdowns in China as well.
Right. Look, so a lot of people still do have a lot of backlog, unfortunately. During COVID, a lot of factories in China switched overnight into PPE factories. Right. Everybody was making masks and everybody was making, these gowns. So they're still catching up. But we're getting there. We definitely see the light to the end of this long tunnel.
Now, what about trends on the other side, where not where the goods are originating from, but where the goods are being shipped to? What are you seeing around maybe global expansion in marketplaces as Amazon expands, as Prime expands? Where are you seeing sellers start to send their goods and have that uptick in growth?
Yeah, great question. So before COVID, or I would say, yeah, definitely much more before COVID. It was a good 60-40 between the UK and Canada. Now with Brexit starting to actually happen, December 31st, it's going to be implemented by Amazon, and the EFN and the Pan EU program are going to be done with in the UK. We've seen now, because of all these reasons, that a lot of people are more excited with expanding into Canada and doing that first before the UK, versus it used to be just the other way, just the opposite. So I would say at this point, it's very close to 50-50. And then, of course, we do have the other marketplaces that are, I'll give you exact, percentages compared to the others. From our shippers, it's like about combined around 20% that are expanding into Japan, UAE, Australia, and Singapore. And we see that number growing, especially now with COVID. A lot of people realize e-commerce is the king, right? And that's what saved all these businesses that are doing well now. Most of them are online, and they didn't get affected, because at the end of the day, it was a global pandemic. It wasn't just something that we got affected with, and people are buying online. People are staying home. So we see a lot of expansion happening all over, but UK and Canada are definitely still the strongest marketplaces that people are expanding to. And we know now with Brexit that it's going to start becoming, Germany is going to start becoming a very close third.
So talking about one of those marketplaces, I feel like we talk about expansion as U.S. businesses, expansion to Europe pretty often. We talk about the UK probably the most out of all the European countries. But let's turn it back and look at Canada. And
Yeah.
look at some of the numbers that you're seeing there. Historically, people have always sold throughout. If you're selling from the U.S. internationally, you usually start in the UK and in Europe, because the opportunity size is similar to what you have within the U.S. Now,
Right.
logistically, Canada is obviously closer, but it's just as wide as the U.S. So getting things from the East Coast to the West Coast could take as long. But if you're leveraging solutions like FBA, selling into Canada should be just as easy as selling into the U.S. And yes, we have to take into account different demand from what the buyer cycle is like in Canada versus the U.S. But do you have any other info on the Canadian market and why sellers are turning there?
Yeah. So first and foremost, obviously, it's a English speaking marketplace, right? Culturally very similar to us Americans. On the map, like you said, it's population is not anything close. On the map, the size of the country is larger than the U.S., or at least very similar. But people are doing about 10 to 15% of their sales that they're doing in the U.S. and Canada.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's pretty solid, and you're able to sell it at a higher rate, because it's less saturated, and shipping is actually very easy. So this is what I always say, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, but take whatever inventory you have over here and just ship the same goods back over to Canada. It's just as simple as that. To get started, all you need is non-resident ID to get registered and legally able to sell there. So we do that in-house. We will offer it for free for anybody that mentions this podcast, or live, however you want to call it. And we usually charge only $99. So it's not that big of an investment for you to pay for it regardless. But it's a very easy, simple process, takes a couple of days to get set up, and shipping is only about 2 days into FBA, Amazon FBA Canada, and to most locations. There's one location that's a little higher up north, takes about 6 days. But in general, it's quick, easy, and then again, you're selling it on higher margins, and people are doing very, very well.
So just one more point on Canada is, obviously we've seen a lot of news around the FBA limitations in the U.S. and coming into Q4 and holiday season, and obviously Prime Day in 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Do you know if Canada has some of the same FBA limitations, or is that not the case?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's something that has affected all marketplaces. But yeah, definitely the US has been affected the most. But the good news is that I see a lot of people are starting to say that it's loosening up for them. Obviously, we're going to see Prime Day coming up and all the good stuff. And hopefully, with the warehouses emptying out on Amazon side, they'll loosen up their IPIs. That's the score that they're measuring on your inventory level. So we're hoping for the best, but we've definitely seen that it's starting to become a little bit better. They are accepting containers now.
And Pearl, I think what you touched on before is great. The reason that expanding now is a great idea. As the internet brings people together, we start to see a lot of still have our own cultural differences, but still have a lot of cultural similarities too. When people want certain products or certain goods, and I think that a lot of the assumptions that were there, 5, 2, or even a few months ago are quickly being brought down as to what consumers are going to purchase at certain size or certain products or brands. So
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see
agree.
a lot of that cross-border commerce.
Awesome. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Now it's so easy. The reason why, like you mentioned in the beginning, we are recommended by Amazon. We are the #1 recommended international shipping provider. There's a reason for it. The point is we partnered up with people like you and others to bring all the puzzle pieces together and make that system where we do everything in one place, make it so easy that there's no reason why not to, unless you're having an inventory issue, which some people are having that now. And, that will be over very soon. And before you know it, you could start shipping stuff in.
So let's talk about the other marketplace that I think we're all a little bit excited about too. Canada, right to the north. You said it takes at most maybe 6 days to get there. Boom, you're selling in a country that's massive and has a huge consumer demand. But if we were here in the United States and maybe talking about the other side of the world, Japan is one for me that's a pretty exciting marketplace. So love to hear some of your thoughts there on the e-commerce expansion and growth that we're seeing.
Yeah, sure. So Japan is definitely an interesting marketplace. They are a culture that does like the better things in life as well, and they're very knowledgeable, very smart people, and again also very very much e-commerce savvy. So it's a very strong marketplace for Amazon. Now, as far as there have been some hiccups the last couple of weeks. And it's a good thing you brought it up because I do want to make sure people know about this. There have been issues with Japanese customs because of COVID. Every country wants to make sure their citizens are doing the best that they can to try to get out of this. So they have been restricting certain product lines from being imported into Japan. For example, certain kitchenware, certain health foods. So what we've done is we came up with 2 different options for our clients. So firstly, going forward, if anybody wants to ship into Japan, you do need to do something called ACP registration. Something again that we do it in-house for you with one of our Japanese partners. So we do the registration for you. So that's #1. You need to register. Now there are going to be certain products that you will not be able to ship in directly into Amazon. So we do have counterparts in Japan that are happy to partner up with you, and you would sell them the goods, or they would sell it on their Amazon platform, and like that you would do some sort of profit sharing, and that's been working for some of the largest brands in the US because unfortunately there have been some Amazon accounts that don't work anymore in Japan.
And what I think that is good for is if you've never sold into Japan, I think that's a really good way to test your products without fully investing in all the infrastructure and the registration and such, as we mentioned.
Smart.
And then in, say, a couple months when hopefully things open back up, you can say, okay, I tested this and I know that my product will sell well in Japan, and I can go and do that there.
Yeah, that's brilliant. See, I didn't think about that. That's brilliant for sure. You don't have to bother with a language barrier or whatever. Obviously, the listings are going to have to be in Japanese, and you want to make sure that you're ranking it with the right keywords and stuff. So if you have a counterpart doing that for you, yeah, that would be a great match.
100%. We did have a question come in and how they can get in touch with you. So I put this here, which is your website, firstchoiceship.com. But Pearl, if somebody has a question about expanding to Canada, expanding to Japan, or about any of the services that you guys have, what's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, so they could email me if you could post my email over here. Basically, I'll go ahead and introduce them over to my team, pa@firstchoiceship.com, and you'll get your own dedicated account manager at the company that will walk you through this entire process and make sure you're set up properly. And we'll try to make it as easy as possible. I can tell you that.
Well, Pearl, I mean, I think that hopefully you're going to have a lot of people reach out, because I know I'm excited about expansion. I'm not even a seller or merchant here. It's just to follow the global economy.
Cool.
But with that, I want to say, thank you so much for joining us on our State of E-commerce session. I think TJ and I both really enjoyed learning a lot. So with that, as we always do with our guests, we'd love to give you the final word here.
My pleasure. Yeah, so I guess the final word is going to be that join me on this expansion ride. I think that, let's set up some goals for ourselves. We're heading into Q4. A lot of great things are happening. If it's not Q4 that you're able to get to it, I get it. You're busy. You want to make sure that you're killing it in the US, and there's a lot coming up. Prime Day is usually not this time of the year. So you're having Prime Day, Black Friday, Thanksgiving, and then of course Christmas. So if you're not able to, reach out to us and just let us know I'm interested, and we'll reach out to you in the next year, in the new year, and we'll take care of you then. But otherwise, always here to answer any questions. So feel free to reach out, and yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And obviously, as I mentioned in the beginning, First Choice Shipping is a partner of ours, and we've worked with them for quite a few years now. And that's just one thing that I want to touch on is whether you are from the US and expanding to an international marketplace, or based in another country looking to expand to the US, what I suggest is not doing it alone. There's partners here who can truly be your partner for your business. Trying to make everyone succeed, and First Choice Shipping and Pearl and her team are absolutely people set up to do that. So, Pearl, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, guys.
Take care.